First thing I would like to highlight when we talk about discipline is that discipline on its own does not work. And I believe the most important aspect of parenting is a connect with the child. If your connect, your bond, or your relationship with your child is strong, many times issues of discipline do not come up. So first step I believe in discipline is, it could be for a toddler, it could be for a preteen, it could be a teenager, is for parents to check on what is my relationship with my child. Is, like I talk about emotional bank account, what is your emotional bank account with your child? Are you making enough deposits? Deposits could be spending time with them, playing with them, listening to them, having fun with them. Or there are too many withdrawals, that I'm being very critical, I'm criticizing them, comparing them, shouting at them, nagging them. Because discipline is not going to work if you don't have a strong connect with your child. If in the emotional bank accounts, the deposits are less and withdrawals are more, then you start disciplining, the child is going to rebel immediately. Because it's like, if I'm being critical, I immediately hook on to the rebellious child, rebelliousness in the child. So it's very important for me to be very much aware of what is my relationship like. So before I talk about discipline, I always like to highlight that thing. The next step I would like to talk about is that when you talk about discipline, is having a clarity of rules. The clarity of rules, that what is okay and what is not okay. In our house, what is fine and what is not something that we will accept at all. What is negotiable, what is non-negotiable. So the clear rules in the house could be that we will not abuse, we will not hit. That will be very clear rules. Or maybe that at this time of the night, all screens are switched off or Wi-Fi is switched off. So depending on the age of the child, there could be clear rules which are used for everybody in the family. So that's the second very important point. Third point that I would like to bring in is, what I use a metaphor here is of traffic lights. Discipline, we need to see discipline as traffic lights. Green is when the child is doing something you're perfectly okay with, depending on the age of the child, and you say it's all right. Yellow is when you feel that you're not okay with it, but a child needs a warning, needs a little help, needs a little support from you to kind of help the child discipline. Suppose a child is struggling going off to sleep at night, and that's a genuine problem the child has. Suppose you make a rule that every day 7:30 is bedtime or 8:30 is a bedtime, and the child is really struggling with sleep. The child has a genuine problem. For you to really hold on to that rule will not make a difference. You understand the child has a problem going to sleep. So he might or she might need your support at that time. You might need to use some strategies to help the child go to sleep. So that's a yellow light. Red light is non-negotiable. When it's very clear in the family, this will not be done. You cannot use abusive language, or you cannot use, like suppose a clarity that every day only screen for half an hour, or whatever the rules might be, and it's absolutely, you're able to hold on to it, and it's something that is spelled out very clearly to the child. So that's the second step. Third step I would say is the consistency. Consistency, I mean that suppose I say that nobody is allowed to use foul language, and one day I'm okay with it. Because I'm very stressed out, I've gone back from work, I'm stressed out, there's too much of work, and my child uses a foul word. I'm saying, okay, I don't have time to deal with it, and I let it be. And next day I get angry with the child and say, you need a consequence for that. So it's extremely important that when I spell out a rule, I'm consistent about that. The fourth thing is that parents need to be united about whatever the rules might be. Or in fact, not only parents, all family members. So many times, the children are part of a joint family. There might be grandparents, uncles, aunts. It's extremely important that everybody agrees on it. Next thing that I would say, the empathy with the child. Now, many children are designed to break rules. For them, it doesn't come very easily. So it's very important that we empathize with them. Suppose a child is struggling to switch off TV. It's time to switch off TV, and it's, your mother's saying, you need to switch off TV. The child might be upset. No, mama, it's my favorite program. It's okay to it's okay to understand that yes, it's difficult for the child. Empathy sometimes with something that they are struggling with also helps a lot. Next point is that our conviction. If I'm convinced about a particular rule, only then I can carry it. Suppose I start a rule at home that no snacking before a meal. You can't have chocolate before a meal. And the child throws a tantrum and says, "No, mama, please, I want a chocolate. Please, I'm really hungry. It's going to take time." And after some time, "No, beta, you can't have it." But the child knows that children are experts on us. They know exactly what buttons to press for how long, and we're going to give up. So it's very important that we are convinced ourselves. If I say no, then there needs to be a firmness about no. It's like, imagine you're going on a street and your child is running on the street, and there are cars there. You say no so firmly, child understands, I can't run on the road, right? So that's the conviction you need to have. So I believe whenever you have a rule, you need to be very convinced about it. I don't think you should have too many rules. I think you should have minimum of 2-3 rules or basic boundaries that are extremely important to understand, and stick to them and be very convinced about it. Another thing that we ignore many times is that we need to talk about these to children. We shouldn't be imposing them. So I do believe an open discussion with children is very important. When they have a sense of ownership, when they understand that this is being done as a family, not being imposed on them, this is something that they own equally, then they might want to do it more. The last point I would like to highlight is that as parents, remote parenting doesn't work. Like many parents, like working mothers would say, I call my child after he come back from school that you need to change and do your homework. But when I go back home after full day's work, I find that he's still in uniform or he's still not done his homework. We need to understand this remote parenting really doesn't work. It's very important for us to be hands-on. So the mother goes and touches the child and says, even 15 minutes before the TV is to be switched off, that you have 15 minutes left. After 15 minutes, we are going to switch off the TV. And you make sure the child is maintaining eye contact with you, you touch the child, and when it's the time, suppose it's 4 o'clock, you go and say, it's time to switch off TV. Are you going to do it? Should I do it? And when the child is ready to switch it off, you say, well done. You recognize. You give a lot of recognition. And every choice the child is making, you are able to recognize that.